During the tactics meeting, the operations section chief shares the draft operations plan with other incident management team members whose ability to support the proposed tactics is critical to their implementation. It is not intended for the entire incident management team to be present at this meeting. The attendees are the section chiefs, the safety officer, the resource unit leader, and documentation unit leader. Other command staff, unit leaders, and technical specialists may be invited to attend if they have information or resources required to support the planned tactics. The primary goal of this meeting is for the operations section chief to describe the proposed tactics for the next operational period. A draft of the ICS 215 operational planning worksheet should be filled out in order to assist the other team members to understand the proposed plan. During the meeting, the operations section chief will link the Unified Command's incident objectives to the planned tactics and resources required to meet the objectives. The tactics meeting is essential to ensuring that the operations plan can be supported by the Command and General Staff before being presented to the Unified Command at the planning meeting. Now let's see how a tactics meeting would be conducted in response to our incident.
All right, good afternoon. It's 1300. Welcome to the tactics meeting. I'm George Dotlow, your planning section chief. I'd like to get started with a quick round robin of the folks that are supposed to be here. Ops section chief, safety officer, finance section chief, logs. I see we've got a comms unit leader. Can you introduce yourself and your agency?
Yes, I'm Jolene Barnes with the Coast Guard.
Okay, and our resources unit leader as well.
Yes, I'm Alan Worth with the U.S. Coast Guard.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and we've got our situation unit leader and documentation unit leader. So let's get started. Again, we've got some ground rules that we're going to follow. We've got an agenda. No sidebar conversations, one speaker at a time. Silence all your electronics, please. No texting, and make sure your drinks have got lids on them. And let's have our situation unit leader come up and review the current situation for us.
Good afternoon, I'm Kevin Martin, Situation Unit Leader. This is the situation as of 1300 today. All of the information in this brief is unclassified. The search and rescue mission has been completed. The fire on board the motor vessel Sun Cruise has significantly abated. Smoke continues to come out of two locations towards the stern of the ship, but there are no visible flames from the outside. The crew has been unable to conduct a damage assessment at this time due to the excessive heat in the interior spaces of the vessel. The master and several essential crew members remain on board for damage control efforts. All other crew members and passengers have been located and brought ashore. Personnel accountability has also been completed and all persons have been accounted for. Diesel fuel continues to leak from the vessel from the two forward fuel tanks. A brown sheen with rainbow edges is spreading to the northwest of the incident site up along Haynes Point. Current size is estimated at a half mile by 500 yards. The sheen is heading towards the shore, but no shoreline impacts have been reported at this time. The FAA has established the TFR that was requested, the temporary flight restriction that was requested earlier, and is currently passing word to aircraft in the vicinity. The media helicopters have cleared the area since the announcement of the TFR. An investigator from Sector Hiatusport is waiting to go on board the vessel to interview the master and the chief engineer. He was able to interview several crew members that had been evacuated and believes the cause of the fire may have been a broken fuel line that was ignited by a short in a water-impacted circuit breaker. The preliminary indication is that the fire was an accident caused by the collision. A squall has been reported and is moving towards the incident site. There is no reported impact yet, but the weather may disrupt some of the response efforts on board the vessel. The situation unit will keep a close eye on it and pass more information as it becomes available. The current on-scene weather, winds are southwest at 5 knots, seas are 2 to 3 feet, the air temperature is 68 degrees, visibility is currently approximately 9 miles, and there's a 30% chance of showers. Some could contain locally heavy downpours. Tonight's weather is predicted to be southeast winds at 3 knots, seas 1 to 2 feet, air temperature 62 degrees, visibility approximately 10 miles. with a 10% chance of showers. We currently have the incident command post located at the passenger terminal where we are now, have a staging area at Thumb Point, and we have a helo spot over near the Naval Weapons Station. Any questions about the current situation? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Situation. So as you all heard from Situation, the SAR objective was completed because all of our passengers and crew have been located and or accounted for. So a couple of hours after the Command and General Staff meeting, we removed the SAR objective for the next operational period. Command added an objective to conduct the investigation into the cause of the incident. So I'll review the rest of the objectives. They include continue firefighting and ensure spaces are clear to the fire hazard, conduct a damage stability assessment and develop a salvage plan, determine oil spill fate and effect, identify threat and environmentally sensitive areas, develop strategies for protection, and conduct pre-impact shore debris removal, establish shoreline security to coincide with pre-impact assessment of sensitive areas, continue to enforce on-water safety zone, contain source of the oil spill and prepare to remove spilled oil, and finally, again, the new objective to conduct an investigation into the cause of the incident. Any questions about the objectives that we are working towards? Okay. Ops, will you present your plan for the next operational period, please?
Okay, thank you, plans. I've already worked with some of you in the development of this operational plan, safety resources. I'd like to take the opportunity right now to brief the rest of the incident management team that is attending this tactics meeting regarding my operational plan for the next operational period. We'll take operational objective A, which is to continue the firefighting and ensure the spaces are cleared of fire overhaul. How I'm going to complete this is contain the fire aboard the vessel, conduct inspection to determine if it is safe to begin overhaul, remove debris from the vessel, assure that responders are wearing the appropriate PPE, as well as identify location to take the debris that we're removing from the vessel. We're going to take operational objective A and we're going to assign it to the firefighting and salvage group. Also in the firefighting and salvage group is going to be objective B, which is conduct damage and stability assessment and develop this salvage plan. When it's safe to do so, I'm going to assign some structural engineers to go on board the vessel to determine the damage assessment and the stability of this vessel. Also, we're going to work with plans so that we can develop a salvage plan. Like I said, A and B is in the firefighting and salvage group. Their work assignment is going to be to assign some firefighting teams to extinguish and overhaul that fire. We're also going to assign the salvage engineering response team members to board and complete the damage assessment of this vessel, and then coordinate assessment information with the planning section chief so that we can develop that salvage plan. I'm going to require 2 firefighting boats or 2 salvage boats from the firefighters. I'm also going to require 2 firefighting teams, 1 salvage emergency response team. Also want to have a division supervisor as overhead, an assistant safety officer also as overhead, to be at Thumbs Point staging at 17:30. Next, C and D will also be lumped together and they're going to end up being assigned to Division A. And working with the situation unit leader, I've already assigned Division A is going to be in the vicinity of Haynes Point. So, objective B or C will be determine oil spill fate, effect, and identify the threatened environmentally sensitive areas, develop a sensitive area, develop strategies to protect the sensitive area, and conduct pre-impact shoreline debris removal. Like I said, that will be done by obtaining locations of environmentally sensitive areas from the planning section chief, obtain trajectories of the spilled oil, also prepare for some deflection booming. We're also going to identify potential shoreline impact areas and also stage resources for quick response of those shoreline areas. C, like I said, will be assigned to Division A. Also in Division A, establish shoreline security to coincide with pre-impact assessment of the sensitive areas. We're going to employ some local law enforcement assets if they're available to conduct some roving patrols to keep the public from moving into our area of responsibility. C and D will work together in Division A. We're going to have shoreline cleanup assessment teams assess the volume of work to be performed, mark the shoreline areas to be cleaned, as well as use hand crews to perform pre-impact shore debris removal in identified areas. We're also going to assign local law enforcement patrols as necessary to restrict movement within those areas. I will require 1 shoreline cleanup assessment team, 2 work crews, and 2 law enforcement patrols. They will have a division supervisor as overhead. They're going to have 2 4-wheelers as well, 2 4-wheeler quads, coming to Thumbs Point staging at 17:30. Operational objective E will be ensure on-water safety zone. We're going to be doing that by considering requesting some temporary flight restrictions. We're also going to employ Coast Guard resources on a 24/7 basis to employ a safety zone. And we're also going to develop rules of engagements, if necessary, with other government agencies. E will be assigned to the on-water safety group. We're going to assign these resources to enforce a 1-mile safety zone around the vessel on a 24/7 basis. We're also going to use authorized levels of use of force. To conduct the on-water safety group, I'm going to require 2 LE boats, 1 helicopter, 2 helicopter crews, and 2 law enforcement boats. They will be given a group supervisor to be at Thumbs Point at 17:30. Operational objective F is to contain the source of spilled oil and prepare for the removal of the oil. To complete this, I will stop the source of discharge. We will contain the spread of oil. We will boom the vessel, contain as much of the spilled oil as possible, begin skimming operations, and we'll identify potential impacts areas so we can install any kind of protection or deflection booming. F will be assigned to the oil recovery group. We will coordinate with the salvage division on further leaking so that we can prevent oil contact with any shoreline, and then we're going to stage and employ any kind of booming techniques. In order to complete this, I will need 5,000 feet of 18-inch boom, 2 oil workboats, 1 tug, 1 skimmer, and 2 vac trucks. Also given a group supervisor to be at Thumbs Point staging at 17:30. And then G will be conduct the investigations into the cause of the incident. And how we're going to do this investigation, we're going to direct some post-casualty chemical testing, as well as some collection of evidence, conduct some interviews with passengers and the crew, and we're also going to assign the damage and determine the contributing factors of that damage. G will be assigned to the investigations group. We will have Coast Guard and Fire Department investigators to conduct the investigation, determine the cause of the incident. In order to complete this, I will need 2 investigation teams and 1 evidence collection team. They will be given a group supervisor to be at Thumbs Point staging at 17:30. Continuing on from there, my operational org chart will be myself as the operations section chief. I will have a member of the state representing as a deputy. I will have currently Thumbs Point staging area, we'll have 1 staging area manager. And then as far as my groups and divisions, I will have a firefighting and salvage group, Division A, as I already pointed out, an on-water safety group, an investigation group, and an oil recovery group.
Okay, any questions for Ops about the plan for the next operational period? Ops, do you have any major concerns that you haven't talked about at this point?
I do have a concern with a contingency communication plan, being that I have operational assets out there and personnel on an unstable vessel. Just want to ensure that I have good communications with them, a thorough plan with all the interagencies working together.
If you're worried about the ability to speak to the guys on the vessel,
Yes.
well, we can actually put up a repeater. There is a site in Division A where a tower already exists. So we could go ahead and put the repeater on that, and then you would have no problems with your communications with people, teams on the vessel.
I would definitely like to further that discussion, and then if we can get that employed for the next operational period, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ops. I think we've taken care of this point. Safety, what are your concerns?
Okay, based on the work assignments that operations has developed, I've had a chance to review it. I've gone through and completed a safety analysis. And from that, I've identified 2 areas specifically of concern. One is the salvage group, firefighting salvage group. They have a substantial risk posed with the work that they're involved in. And the other one is the oil recovery group having a possible risk potential. We've already discussed the idea of putting in place as many controls as we can, but from that we still end up with the potentials that we have. So with that, I had requested, talking with ops, to get that assistant safety officer added to the firefighting and salvage group. And then of course, safety is everybody's responsibility. Everyone should step up. So hopefully we're going to keep things under control, but that's my issues that I have and concerns that we've addressed with operations in this next work period.
All right, thanks, safety. All right, logistics, do you have any concerns?
We can have food and water available at the staging area for the people who are doing the nighttime operations. We'll have that ready. We're also going to put in porta-johns and cleaning stations throughout the area so that people who are on scene can take care of hygiene functions. If need be, we have the capability of opening up a second staging area over on Haynes Point to make things easier, so we can do that. Regarding the activities in Division A, if law enforcement is not available, Sun Cruise does have their security forces that are available that can do some of the beach patrol and stuff like that. And lastly, speaking from the Sun Cruise perspective, we'd like to have one of our investigators from our Protection and Indemnification Club go with your investigators if the Coast Guard has no objection to that.
We can make those arrangements.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Logs. Finance.
2 things. Can you get me the names of the local law enforcement agencies so we can set up a funding reimbursement with them?
We can do that for you.
The other thing for the helicopter, is that a Coast Guard asset?
Currently it is.
Okay, since the SAR phase is over, I'd like to transition to contracted aviation.
Okay, let's explore the other options, see if they have the capabilities.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Finance, I asked documentation to add your request to the 233, so we have that up there now.
Aye.
Okay. Ops, can you join me back up here? I'd like to validate connectivity before we jump to our ICS 233. I'm just going to make sure that we've got connectivity between the objectives and